Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Rita's Book Club. On this episode, I'm reviewing another Taylor Jenkins Ried book. This one is called Forever Interrupted. I've been obsessed with Taylor's books and the stories characters she creates since the moment I read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. At this point, I only need to read maybe in another life to read all her books. Elsie Porter is an average 20-something, and yet what happens to her is anything but ordinary. On a rainy New Year's Day, she heads out to pick up a pizza for one, and she isn't expecting to see anyone else in the shop, much less the adorable and charming Ben Ross. Their chemistry is instant and electric. Ben cannot even wait 24 hours before asking to see her again, and within weeks the two are head over heels in love, and by May they have eloped. Only 9 days later, Ben is out riding his bike when he is hit by a truck and killed on impact. Elsie hears the sirens outside their apartment, but by the time she gets downstairs, he has already been whisked off to the emergency room. At this hospital, she must face Susan, the mother-in-law she has never met and who doesn't even know Elsie exists. Interweaving Elsie and Ben's charmed romance with Elsie and Susan's healing process, this book will remind us that there is more than one way to find a happy ending. I think at this point it's a must, given that Taylor Jenkins Ried will give us characters with honorable and brutal stories, characters that have been through so much in life, which makes them very relatable to any reader. This is another great example of it. First, I gotta say that the way that the book is written is truly brilliant to get the full context of both sides of the story. Elsie and Ben's love story and Elsie and Susan's grief. We get the good parts mixed into the bad ones, and I guess that's what makes us understand every single bad thing. It leads up to the whole picture. I love when books do this by mixing the timelines. In terms of the romance between Ben and Elsie, it was truly such a simple and fast story, one of real love that didn't have all the time in the world to fully develop, but definitely filled with passion and understanding. I really love that their relationship is described in the book as a supernova, because that was exactly what it was. Then, of course, it was truly heartbreaking to watch it all end and then to see the effect it had on Elsie. It was a shock for her, and she was left dealing with it all by herself with just her close friend Anna by her side. What made this even more emotional was the raw and involuntary reactions that this loss had on all other characters around her, but especially on Elsie. And of course, it shows us that there is no easy or right way to grieve someone. It's a hard process, and a lot of the times we will do irrational things, but it's part of the healing process, and in the long run, it might help people move on. I think seeing Elsie and Susan interact and accept that they were both fundamental parts of Ben's life was very cathartic, because ultimately this helped both of them in helping the other get the closure that they needed. But I also loved the way that Susan helps Elsie see that even though they weren't together for a long time, it didn't make their love less of a love compared to other people who have been together for a long time. And being Susan, who also lost her husband, to help Elsie realize that was very important. As I said, both griefs were very different. The romantic one and the mother-son one. Both were brutal, especially for Elsie, since we see the whole story from her perspective. But Susan's raw emotion was something very hard for me to read, since she not only lost her son, she lost the last member of her core family. Her eulogy at the funeral and the story she shared of the bathroom message that her son wrote to her made me so hard. I think it's very important to acknowledge that sometimes grief will make people blind, and that the ones closest to us also suffer, but it can also learn a lot from the people around us, even just a random stranger coming to the library every single day. And that will help us through the process. I really loved Hannah. and the role she had on Elsie's life, for example. I believe her friendship was fundamental to Elsie and helped her in her own way to heal. As always, if you liked this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on Instagram at ritasbookclub for more content. Thanks for watching and see you next week. Happy readings!